Hi everybody, it's Julia, your trusted travel expert, helping you find that je ne sais quoi wherever you are in the world. And this week I wanted to give you a little bit of a pep talk because I have just recently finalized my New Year's Eve holiday trip plans, and it's somewhere totally unexpected and pretty exotic, and it's just been super easy, and so I wanted to let you know that exotic is not impossible. Um, you know, so here's the backstory on it. A friend of mine, one of my favorite travel buddies, who's a really, kind of high-powered executive now at a tech firm. She travels all the time, and she actually loves planning her own travel, but she is just swamped this time of year and knew that she was going to be in India with her family for Christmas and called me up and said, "Hey, do you want to meet me in Sri Lanka for New Year's?" And I, said, I got to look into it a little bit. I don't know much about the country, but I've always wanted to visit it. So yeah, let's see if we can make it happen. And so she didn't know much about the country either. We both had one place that we knew we wanted to see, and we knew we wanted to spend some time at some beaches. So I looked at flights, and it does take about 20 hours from the East Coast to get there. So, that was a challenge, looking at all the different gateways and all the different airlines and all the different routings that you could possibly do. But I did find one that was just one stop. Well, it'll be two stops because I have to get myself to DC, but one stop from DC that was really reasonably priced. So flights were easy. She actually, I think, used points on her flights. Which is another, especially if you travel a lot for work, you build up those airline mileage points, and they do expire at some point, so you do need to use them occasionally. So flights were taken care of. And then as far as what to do and where to go and all that stuff, I went to one of my favorite partners, Abercrombie & Kent, which I've talked about previously. They have offices all over the world, so I figured if, I want somebody to take me to Sri Lanka, it's going to be them. And so I took a look. They had a bunch of different suggested itineraries. I sent those to my friend, and we sort of narrowed it down where exactly we wanted to go. And I emailed them and told them basically that we don't know each other. We have about a week, and we want to see these couple things, spend some time at the beach. And they sent us back an itinerary with a private car and driver, nice hotels, not the most exotic, because I actually talked to two different partners, because you always have to shop around. It's very important to get multiple opinions. And he sent us amazing, over-the-top, gorgeous properties, which I knew were going to be out of budget. But the Abercrombie & Kent, actually, which is a high-end, super luxury, amazing tour operator, they actually sent, because they knew that it was just the two of us, and we didn't, I cautioned them that our budget wasn't huge. They sent very reasonably priced, very neat lodging, but, kind of within our budget lodging. And we haven't finalized it. We got to tweak the itinerary a little bit, but basically it's perfect. And the entire trip, and for me, it's going to be closer to 10 days. I think it's going to be 9 days total, but about a week. It's going to be less than $4,000, and hopefully I can get it pretty close to $3,000. And so that's flight, lodging, private car and driver, and excursions, all together. So that, people spend that going to the Caribbean easily. So I just wanted to let you know that it's not that hard. So if you're really busy and you don't think that you have time to plan your Christmas or Hanukkah or festive season, New Year's season trip, but you really want to take one, give me a call. We can figure something out, and you can have holiday plans and settled and booked, within about, say, 2 weeks, a week or two, something like that. Just some ideas of some kind of exotic places that you could go for a week. Because I know around the holidays, that's kind of, all the time that you have. Well, that's all the time you have, anytime. But for a week, exotic places that you could go for that sort of $3,000 to $5,000 a person, flight included places. You could go less exotic places that some of my clients are going, or Iceland, Hawaii, Spain, which is an interesting choice, but they're going for festive season, which I'm sure is going to be really interesting. You could go kind of crazy and go to Sri Lanka like I am, or some Southeast Asian places. You could go to Bali for a week, or you could go to Philippines for a week. You could go to some of the even more exotic fancy places like Tahiti or the Maldives or Fiji. You may have to push your budget a little bit for those, and also, a week is a good amount of time, but getting there for, depending on where you are, for Tahiti can be a challenge, but especially the Maldives is almost anywhere from the US. That's pretty tough to get to. Another place that's really tough to get to and might push the budget a little bit is actually Africa. There are parts of Africa that you could easily just go and do for a week. Now, I'm not talking about a safari. I don't want you to try and go and do, all of South Africa in a week. That would be ridiculous. But there are, places like Mauritius or Zanzibar. There are places where you could, just do a couple days of maybe safari and then a couple days at the beach. And it might be a little ridiculous, but I want to, kind of give you some ideas for things that you could do for an exotic holiday for, let's say under $5,000, air, lodging, and transportation included. Like I said, some of those destinations, you might have to up that budget a little bit, but if I can go to Sri Lanka for $3,000 or $4,000, air and private car and driver inclusive, there are lots of places that you could go besides just the Caribbean. Especially since the Caribbean is still recovering, and I know some of the islands are not quite ready to welcome guests, although some definitely are. But just wanted to give you a couple ideas for your holiday plans. If I spark something in you, give me a call. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.